Hey, what's up? What's up? It's Friday, November 1st, 2024. Hopefully, if you have kids, they're recovering from their sugar binging last night for Halloween. I wanted to do a video talking about how to get involved in Morpheus. I've had a lot of friends in the last, I don't know, I guess year, always asking me like, hey, how do I get involved? What's going on with Morpheus? What's the latest? Like, what can I do? How can I contribute? What's going on? So the main idea I want to cover in this video is just kind of an overview of what's called an MRC, Morpheus request for comments. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. I'm going to dive right in, as always, to mor.org. And you can look here to see under the resources tab, you have docs. This currently goes to the GitHub, but it might go to the Git book in the future. Just a reminder, I did a video on the Git book, phenomenal documentation here. Highly recommend going through all this. Definitely the FAQs as well. Just awesome FAQs, how to be involved with compute, code, capital, application builders, all this. Definitely hit those FAQs. Good place to go. But we're going to look at the MRC. So if you scroll all the way down here, further down, further down, and there might be a better way to get to this, but there's just one way to get to it. You see right here, the repository is Morpheus request for comments, one of the main repos in the Morpheus GitHub account. So you'll notice here we've got a folder closed, implemented, in progress, and pending. So what can happen sometimes if you're clicking on a link to an MRC, it can be a dead link. And often that's just because they moved it to one of the other folders. So go ahead and, take a look at the other folders if you're looking for an MRC you can't find. What I'm going to start with here is MRC 00. This is kind of the meta MRC talking about MRCs in general. What is a Morpheus request for comment and how does it go about? So it's, as it says here, integral to suggesting and executing changes within the Morpheus ecosystem. This document is designed to make a submission process more transparent, fair, and efficient. The MRC process generally follows the monthly timing of the wait snapshot for smart contract updates. So that waits included in MRCs advanced to the in-progress stage can be included in the next smart contract update that takes place around the 8th of each month. So what that means is, unlike a DAO or a company or a foundation or some kind of situation where there's a bunch of voting and people basically vie for influence and try to figure out like, how can I extract wealth instead of creating value, which unfortunately I've been a part of in multiple different projects. It's just kind of human nature, basically. This approach is very different. As I've talked about in other videos, Morpheus uses what's called atomic governance. And that means that anyone who is a repo maintainer, anyone who's in charge of maintaining a specific repository of a reference implementation of the Morpheus protocol, they have responsibility to kind of determine who's creating value, which pull requests do you accept, which pull requests do you reject, which things need to be fixed and changed. And the way that they kind of figure out, what is the Morpheus protocol going to be is through this MRC process. And those waits, what a wait is just like the Bitcoin network is every 10 minutes distributing new Bitcoin as a reward to the block producers who secure the network. This is the miners. This is a similar situation in that Morpheus tokens are being distributed constantly. And they're being distributed pro rata based on the 4 different buckets, which we've talked about before, code, capital, compute, and application building. But in this case, it's your weights. So kind of like a pro rata share based on how much weight you have determines how many of those tokens that are being distributed every day are going to go to you. And then, of course, you can lock up your weights. You can lock up your rewards for an extended period of time, which increases your multiplier. So it's kind of like increasing your hash rate if you're thinking in terms of Bitcoin mining analogy. So that's the process. An MRC kind of explains you've got this Morpheus reference implementations, different things that are being done within the Morpheus ecosystem, smart contracts, smart agents, the More 20, the protection fund, interoperability. These are all different things. And this explains, who's in charge of these particular MRCs. So this is an example of how that gets figured out. And all of this is done within the Discord. Discord is the place where all these kind of MRCs are discussed. And it's important, like if you're thinking about this, like if you're just going to add, a small incremental improvement, you don't need a whole MRC for that. Just go ahead and do a pull request, clone the repo, make your changes, submit them, and the repo maintainer will see those and potentially reward you with weights as well in that snapshot. And then if you want a smart agent, check out more.software. This is going to be really exciting coming in the future once the Morpheus network comes online. The testnet is active right now, and later this month in November, actually, I think it's the 18th or 14th, something like that. We're looking to go live. So if you're interested in just contributing something like an agent, check out more.software. This is where you can contribute and potentially get rewarded. So you can sign in with GitHub or your wallet. There's also guidance here as well. One second. Oh, I hate that when you feel like you got to sneeze. Oh, it's the worst. I'm good though. All right. And then more agents. This explains kind of how more agents work, the architecture. So whenever you're sitting there going, man, it would be so cool if I had an AI, agent bot thing that could talk to an LLM and then do something specific, whatever that might be, something useful, something valuable to the world. That's what a more agent is. And explains kind of all the details of how you can actually build out a more agent. And there are more agents, for example, where you can get the latest news on a crypto ticker symbol. You can get the current price of a ticker symbol. These are all different agents that exist right now that you can explore and check out. So definitely, if you're interested, and you're a developer interested in building agents like that, definitely check that out. And then, so here's the life cycle, the basic idea. You do a pull request to create a new MRC. It's merged into discussion. That's where all the things happen in the Discord. People discuss it and you get feedback on whether or not this is a good idea. And I would say, especially even before you get to this step, kind of step 0 is discuss it in the Discord. Like, is this actually needed? Does the community want this? It's just an idea that I think is important, but no one else cares about. All that stuff's really important. And eventually into pending and in progress and then implemented. It talks about the description of, how you form your MRC, the template you can use, all this kind of information. And then the guidelines, definitely read through all the readmes and everything like that. Let's see. So, and then this here is important. This is kind of like, okay, what is it you're doing? How does this impact the main key areas that Morpheus is trying to make a difference in? That includes smart contracts, smart agent tools, the Morpheus local desktop and mobile. That's that More Agents 0.20 is the latest release that I put out recently. You've got the More 20 standard, which is other projects that might want to do a fair launch, just like Morpheus did. So improvements to that, which could include front end and different tools related to launching your own token. The protection fund, enhancements to that. Capital proofs, the Lumen being able to computationally figure out, who's adding value to the compute network, all that kind of stuff. Code proofs examples, front end examples, interoperability, all this stuff. So these are the different repos that you can think about. And again, this describes the atomic governance system, which we've talked about before, goes into detail about how all this works. I'm going to go actually read this. I think it's important. In addition to being faster and cheaper than forming a company or a foundation, the TCM, which is the techno capital machine, which is also another way to think about the More 20 concept, uses what we call atomic governance to streamline all the decisions related to the software, infrastructure, capital, and front ends. In the atomic governance model, every person involved is able to freely associate and individually decide their contributions without any votes or friction being introduced. So a lot of people, again, are like, how do I get involved? Like, who do I need to get to know and get permission from? And I always tell them, nobody. Literally, you don't need permission from anyone. You could just add value, and those who are maintaining the different repos, if they see that value and they want you to continue adding that value, they're going to give you some weights. They're going to say, hey, take some tokens because we want you to keep doing this. And when they do that, they actually dilute themselves. So something really interesting about that dynamic. It's like they're only going to allow people to come on board and get weights if they genuinely believe they're going to be adding value to the whole system, which is pretty cool. So for example, the coder can choose whether or not to merge any open source contribution the community of coders suggests for their project based on how they value the code contribution and the weights the contributor wants as credit for the work. So that can be a little bit of a negotiation when you say, hey, I think this is worth this. They say, hey, we disagree. And you can decide on the weights and what the value of the weights are. The compute providers choose the type of AI models and requests for compute they want to support and the price at which they're willing to offer them. Again, the compute network is in testnet right now. It's going live soon. And the whole point is that you can offer up a model via your infrastructure, and it could be any number of different models that you think the market wants. And then the market can then bid, and there can be a price discovery mechanism to figure out if that's valuable. And if it is valuable and people are willing to lock up their Morpheus tokens to access that compute, then you're going to get paid as a contributor. And lastly, community builders can choose the projects they want to build front ends for, integrate, or otherwise support the development based on the rewards they receive from the project creators. So pretty exciting stuff as far as atomic governance. Again, this is something I'm super passionate about because instead of doing this whole launch a corporation, launch a foundation, launch a DAO, instead you can just do the techno capital machine. You can actually have individuals working in their own best interests that actually align with the interests of the whole network, which is phenomenal. So back to the MRCs. This is a list of the MRCs. And you can see here when it's in progress, there's a link to the Discord. I'm going to go ahead and click that. Let's see if it'll pop open to my app or not. Let's see. Okay, it's going to load up in the browser, but you can pop this open in your app as well. While that's loading, I'm going to go back here. And so each and every More 20, you can see here, each and every More 20 has its own discussion channel where people can actively discuss the project. So you can see here the MRC forum. If I click on that, you can see all these different discussions. So if you're passionate about the protection fund or the compute landing or any of these different things that you're interested in, the referral system for depositors, that you think that you can build a referral network and start earning value by bringing other people into the Morpheus ecosystem, or then maybe jump into this and jump into the conversation, see what's going on. That's a really important way to get involved and understand what's going on. So again, we've got everything from decentralizing the multi-sig, simplifying the weights accounting. This is kind of more of the maintainers and how they're doing things, trying to make things more automated, something like that. Automated, yeah. And get the humans out of the loop, basically. Get it more automated. There's a compute lending protocol. This is going to be really exciting. The idea that if somebody wants to provide compute and they have to lock up a whole bunch of Morpheus tokens in order to get paid for the amount of compute they want to provide, and so that they get ranked higher in the algorithm, so people will know that this is a legit provider that has a lot of stake in the game, well, they're going to need a lot of Morpheus tokens, and maybe they don't want to buy a whole bunch up front. So eventually there's going to be, according to this, it's under discussion, but the idea you could have a lending protocol. So you as a Morpheus token holder, you could lend out your tokens to a very specific compute provider or to the marketplace. And then those providers can then borrow those tokens and you can earn some revenue for that, earn some interest for lending out. And it would be done completely on chain, completely in a trustless, secure environment, which would be awesome. We have some distributions of builder rewards, that are kind of stuck in the smart contract, different discussions about that. 90-day delay, this got implemented. This was actually a really interesting one. So what's fun about following these MRCs is that you can kind of track the evolution of the project over time. So you can actually see like this happened and then there was some discussion and there were some problems and then we fixed it and then we moved forward. So in this case, at one point there was over $500 million, $500 million worth of Ethereum was staked into the Morpheus contracts, which is amazing. And it was creating a lot of value for the project. But a lot of those participants essentially weren't really interested in Morpheus as a project. What they were interested in is the 30+% yield they were getting on their Morpheus token, meaning they would earn their Morpheus token, claim them every single day, and sell them in the market for more Ethereum, and then take that Ethereum and stake it again just to earn more Morpheus. And they were just doing this as the best return on their Ethereum, essentially. Obviously, that creates a downward pressure on the Morpheus token price. Other builders and people who are long Morpheus are essentially losing out on value because of that activity. So instead of being able to just claim constantly, this idea was saying, hey, you claim once within 90 days. And so if you're just chasing some APR, there's plenty of other projects where you can get APR. What we're interested in is those who want to provide actual liquidity, those who want to actually provide value to the project long term. And that's, again, why you have the ability to stake your rewards for an extended period of time to get that multiplier on the rewards you're getting. So this was very cool. As soon as this happened, I mean, you saw the Morpheus price was just going like this forever. As soon as this happened, it kind of bottomed out closer to around $20 per token. And that's pretty exciting to know that the tokenomics, little tweaks like this make a big difference. This is a referral system. This is going to be going live very soon. I believe it is in progress. It is being tested right now in the testnet. I may even do a whole video on that if you want to test on the testnet, but it's going to be coming soon. And what this basically means is if you onboard people, let's actually go ahead and take a look at that one. If you onboard people and they stake a whole bunch of Ethereum and you're the reason they are doing that. Oh, again, here's an example where something got moved from just the root to in progress. So that's MC45. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we have to fix that link here. There it is. All right, cool. So the referral system. So you could see it got moved to in progress. So we couldn't find it. There's the Discord link. And the whole idea is that if you can refer people, you can earn a 1% bonus. And the capital depositor who created the referral also receives up to 5% bonus. So both people are rewarded. The new person coming in who says, hey, I've got a referral. I want to make sure they get hooked up. And you as the person who made the referral. And the whole idea is that like we're not going to have this big marketing budget. We're not going to have some foundation that's paying for advertising. It's going to be word of mouth. It's going to be individuals getting their buddies and their friends involved, and a referral program enables that in a decentralized way, which is pretty cool. So the mechanics of it are explained here, how you stake Ethereum, you claim your more, and then you get your referral bonus. This breaks down the different percentages and how they work as far as the more that somebody stakes as far as Ethereum, the higher tier they're going to be. So the first tier is up to 35 ETH, it's 1%. Um, After that, 2.5%. If you go up to 350 ETH, so we're talking big whales here, you get 3.75%. And if you're mega whale, you bring in somebody massive, you're going to be getting 5% bonus, which is pretty freaking awesome. So again, this is a point. The point of this is to encourage others to share the good news about Morpheus, to explain why it's valuable, to explain, you know, why they should get involved. So Morpheus referral system, very exciting. You've got quarterly withdrawals of protection fund. This is again clarifying there's four main buckets, and the fifth bucket is this protection fund, which is used for code audits and things of that nature. Liquidity upgrade. This was implemented. This was basically after the bootstrapping, where previously it would just pull in. You take the Ethereum that's being earned through Lido staking as the protocol, and the multi-sig would sign a transaction to basically buy up Morpheus, split those in half, and put it in the liquidity pool. If I remember correctly, this adjustment said instead of just doing that, which it's doing that still, it also buys up some Morpheus and burns it. And again, we got to fix some of these links. So 43 is no longer in progress. 43, we're going to find that in implemented. So there we go. And so, yeah, so basically swapped for ETH, 75 used to swap more from the Uniswap pool. The remaining 24% will be paired with 33% more on full range liquidity. And 66 remaining are held in multi-sig account and not deposited back into liquidity. And then you have this whole burning and tail emissions. The tail emissions thing is pretty cool. Basically, after the 16-year distribution, there's going to be additional tokens that can be used for rewards, even though there's no like new issuance happening. So you're never going to go over the 42 million tokens, but there's always going to be rewards available. It's pretty exciting. This is some people describe this as a problem with Bitcoin, meaning what's going to happen after the block rewards end? Are the fees alone going to be enough? Whereas with Morpheus, we don't even need to implement fees necessarily, and still via this tail emission have value for everyone contributing. So a bunch of stuff in here to check out. Very cool. Staking, this is very cool as well. So all the different contributors can stake their rewards and earn a multiplier on your rewards. Staking for builders, staking for compute providers, staking for capital providers. This is now implemented. So for example, if you come in here and let's see here, if I go to the capital dashboard, and you can see that based on, if I connect my wallet, based on how long you want to stake, you're going to get a multiplier on your capital rewards, which is, again, pretty exciting. All right, let's see. Any of these other we want to highlight? The wait time, that's again kind of like the idea of extending your lock period so you get a larger wait. Similar with these different ideas. Let's see. Smart agent domain. So some of these things are being discussed. So if you guys want to talk about different ideas that are under discussion, you can actually add value just by participating in the discussions. Code weights under discussions. Solana. So if you're interested in Solana, for example, and JITOSOL. So these are different MRCs you can discuss. Let's see what else we have. Stuff in progress. Yeah, tons of cool stuff here. And again, if you want to figure out how this all works, non-fungible agents, that's another interesting discussion. So I want to touch on this one a little bit. It's been a while since I looked at this, but my understanding is, and you can see it's been a while, they've been discussing this, but the idea is that everything that Morpheus is doing essentially can be replicated in a fractal nature for all the other MRC token projects. So for example, Morpheus has these different buckets, and within each one of these buckets, you have a maintainer, the Atomic Governance GitHub repo maintainer, and they've got to figure out, who gets weights and how do they do weights. And essentially it's like a payroll system almost. Well, the idea of a smart agent or non-fungible agent is that you could actually kind of like program almost like an NFT, but really an NFA, the technical framework for how these things figure out who has weights and ownership and distribution of these different things. So it's a pretty cool idea. And, there's a lot that's going to go into it, a lot that's going to enable it to be super, super easy for people to spin up more 20 projects and have all of this in terms of like all the pieces embedded into the system. Autonomous computing becomes a key focus of Morpheus ecosystem. This MRC looks at to define the first guardrails as a set of needs. A person or agent needs transactional confidence that an agent is unaltered and easy to understand. So this kind of figures out how you can do smart agents in a safe way that makes sense. So yeah, lots of really cool stuff. It builds on existing Ethereum projects, ERC 721 and different things like that. So it's just like programmable NFTs is kind of another way to think about it. You can have all kinds of things. So essentially, the idea is that eventually you're going to have your own custom smart agents that are going to be working on your behalf, doing things for your benefit, and can be kind of as building blocks put together to create new projects and work together with existing projects. So pretty exciting stuff. Definitely take a look at that. The More 20 standard that's been implemented. That's the whole automated recurring revenue rewards. Again, one of the neatest things about the fair launch model that Morpheus is using is there's actual recurring revenue. There's monthly revenue coming in because all the people that stake their Ethereum are getting that. I think it's around 3% reward. Let's check it out right now, actually, and see what it is. Morelord.com. And that money goes right into the multi-sig. I mean, it's helping the whole ecosystem, the whole project, which is pretty exciting. And so, as we discussed, the recent changes to that, so all of it doesn't go right to adding liquidity. Some of it's held back as Morpheus, but there's a constant buy pressure on the Morpheus token. So you would otherwise get, less than 3% if you were staking just with Lido directly, but the Morpheus APY is up to 13.5%, which is a nice 4.6 multiplier, which is pretty cool. So this morelord.com kind of explains tokenomics in detail. You can actually look at the capital contributors, who are the main people. Here's a 5,000 ETH deposit. You see people who are locked for a specific amount of time, which they get a multiplier. So here's this person's almost got a 5x multiplier because they've locked until 2026. And you can kind of like everything's fully, completely transparent. Everybody can see what's going on. There's another 4x multiplier. Let's see what else we got. We got here is a 6.7 multiplier locked till 2027. Here's a 10.7 multiplier locked for till 2030. 300 Ethereum, and they're betting on this project up until 2030. Pretty exciting stuff. Same thing with code contributors. These are people who are actually doing work and getting contributed by the repo maintainers. And these, again, you see these people locking up for 2 years or 3 years, 4 years. Pretty awesome. To me, this signals that people are very interested in the project long term, which is definitely something you want to see. So we got Cosmos and Thorchain. That would be super awesome. Different things in here, more interoperability, yield generating assets. Yeah, a bunch of stuff here. So whenever you're thinking about, okay, how can I get involved with Morpheus? What's going on within Morpheus? Who's doing what? Take a look at these MRCs, jump into the Discord and have discussions about these MRCs. I feel like, this is how this all works. And it's, again, essentially permissionless. If you're adding value in a way that is not just a delusion, meaning the rest of the community thinks what you're doing is useful, and you're not just doing it, again, to extract wealth, but you're really doing it to create value, then those who are involved are going to see it and recognize it. And again, I wouldn't recommend just going off and just doing something on your own, but engage with the community, jump into the Discord, talk to people about what's going on, demonstrate some competency, demonstrate some awareness with what the needs of the community are. These videos are a good example. I was asked by a couple people, hey, sometimes people need to see a video to know something's real. Do you think you could just do some videos? I was like, hey, yeah, man, it's super fun. So I'm going to do these videos because it sounds like a need in the community. And already I've gotten tremendous feedback, very positive feedback about doing these. So I'm going to keep doing them, and whether or not that equates to more weights in the future, that's up to the community to decide. But ultimately, that's been my experience so far. You just add value and people say, hey, yeah, give me an address. I want to give you some more weights for the value you're creating. So highly encourage you to get involved. There's a lot going on within the Morpheus ecosystem. You can see all of that has happened just like literally within the last year, which is pretty amazing. And there's more happening as well. Like we're just getting started. The code bucket is live, the capital bucket is live, and the protection fund is live. We still don't have the compute bucket, which is going live, I think, in a matter of a couple of weeks. And you have the bucket for
builders, and builders used to be called community, but that bucket is going to be live as well. So you're going to have all kinds of interesting smart agents, front ends that hook into the referral system and onboard people. So there's a lot coming down the pipe, and I hope you pay attention and check it out. It's a pretty exciting project, a lot of cool people involved. Jump in the Discord, check out the MRCs. Hopefully that was useful to you. Have a good one.